Today is a bit of an odd one because whilst today's brand could be considered and actually was extremely successful, it also became a huge flop to the point where it no longer exists anymore, but it kind of wasn't the brand's fault. It's hard to imagine that just 20 years ago, the use of technology and like gadgets in the beauty world was relatively unheard of unless you went to like a spa or some kind of skincare professional to get work done. Whereas now we have all these things in our house at our fingertips, all these contraptions, right? Unless you count some of the like bizarre inventions during the 90s, like that machine that dug dimples into your face, or the device that claimed to suck wrinkles out of your skin, or that like hair curler that literally looked like a death sentence. How horrible was that? If you haven't seen it, here it is. It's horrific. But nowadays there's a device to help you with almost any beauty concern, from LED light therapy to microcurrent devices, facial steamers, radio frequency, skin tighteners. The range of beauty gadgets that we have now available to us is huge and constantly growing. The Ajar Booster Pro thing. And really, we have one brand to thank for bringing beauty gadgets to the mainstream and showing us what technology could do in the beauty world. And that's Clarisonic. I love Clarisonic. I used to love their devices. If you go back to the beginning of my YouTube videos, I have a Clarisonic. I then have a off-brand, which we'll speak about soon. But let's talk about the launch of Clarisonic and their very early and very quick success. Now, the first Clarisonic device was a pioneering skincare tool, really, that revolutionized the beauty industry and quickly became one of the most popular beauty tools in the whole world, if not the only popular beauty tool in the whole world. Now, Clarisonic was actually developed by a team of scientists and engineers who had all previously worked at Optiva, and they created the incredibly successful Sonicare toothbrush in the early 90s. Remember when electric toothbrushes became a thing? We all have one now. And that team included the former co-founder and CEO of Optiva and scientists who had worked on the Sonic toothbrush, one of which had even worked on the NASA space shuttle in the past. And I remember that being a big selling point. They were like, oh my God, NASA have made a skincare device. You know how media like takes and go run with it and, you know, mix things up to make it sound more exciting. I remember that being a huge selling point. Now, the idea behind Clarisonic was to use similar sonic technology, but for skincare. And this new tool would use high frequency vibrations to cleanse the skin, remove impurities, and gently exfoliate. The brand launched in 2004 with the release of the Clarisonic Classic. And upon its launch, the company claimed that their device was 6 times better than just the manual cleansing methods, 6 times better than cleansing your face with your fingers, and that it removed 99% of dirt, oil, and makeup, that it enhanced the absorption of your skincare products, making them more effective, and that it even helped reduce acne, fine lines, and improve your overall skin texture. A lot of claims for a brush, right? The brand initially sold their product at clinics and doctors' offices in order to gain, I guess, like credibility and some kind of like stamp of professional approval and educated approval before entering major retailers like Sephora and Ulta Beauty. And at the start, you could pick up a Clarisonic for anywhere between $149 up to $225-ish. They were not cheap. And one somewhat controversial part of Clarisonic's business model was that they encouraged you to make ongoing purchases through the need for replacement brush heads. You couldn't just buy a Clarisonic and be done with it. The brush heads needed to be replaced regularly. And I believe it was like every 3 months the brand recommended it. I just kept them going for ages. I would use like a makeup brush cleaner to cleanse them. But they also offered like a wide range of brush heads designed for various skin types and concerns. And I remember thinking, I need them all, like just in case, like what if one day my skin's really sensitive, I need a super soft brush, or I have acne one day, what brush is good for that, you know? And these replacement head brushes included the sensitive brush, which was a really delicate, like long bristle brush for delicate skin. They had something called the deep pore brush head for oily or acne prone skin to help with clogged pores. The radiance brush head, which was focused on brightening dull skin. The acne brush head, apparently specifically designed for acne prone skin with a more targeted cleansing ability, because you get acne because your face isn't clean properly. They even had the body brush head for use on larger areas like the back of the arms, the legs, and the torso. Now in 2019, they launched the Clarisonic Mia, which is a more compact, travel-friendly version that became, again, extremely popular. The Mia actually had a lower price point of the original at only $99, which is probably why it was so popular. I mean, it's better. It's still not cheap, but it's a lot better. I feel like people bought that as their main cleansing device, right? But regardless of the fairly high initial costs and the ongoing cost of brush head replacement, beauty consumers consumers, for the most part, didn't seem to mind the expense whatsoever. Sales were increasing at a rapid rate, and the best was yet to come. This was, well, for me at the time, a new way, and the only way to get a proper cleanse was to use your Clarisonic. And I remember days when I didn't have my Clarisonic, if I forgot to pack it to go away for like a weekend or something, I feel dirty. Like, I feel like my face wasn't cleansed. And when I used my fingers, I was like, oh, this feels so manual and like peasanty. Like, I never felt like I was getting a good cleanse if I wasn't using my Clarisonic. As I mentioned, the best was yet to come. And by 2010, Clarisonic, having only been in business for about 6 years at the time, they were growing impressively, achieving an annual income sales of 105 million that year. Unsurprisingly, this caught the attention of L'Oreal, who we all know absolutely love buying up smaller beauty companies, and it didn't take long for a deal to be agreed. And by the end of 2011, L'Oreal had acquired Clarisonic, or rather the parent company, Pacific Bioscience Laboratories, for an undisclosed amount. And talking about the acquisition, Nicholas Hieronymus, president of L'Oreal Luxe, said, Clarisonic is a strategic acquisition for L'Oreal. Devices are emerging globally as an important new skincare category. Clarisonic is the most successful and fastest growing premium brand in this category, and we will roll it out internationally, as well as enhance our service experience in our luxury counters. And initially, it appeared to be a really smart purchase for L'Oreal, right? This new device everybody wanted that was making millions every year. A good acquisition. They acquired a brand who had established himself as a market leader in sonic skincare products, the only sonic skincare product at the time, and it was a new market that L'Oreal hadn't ventured into until now. And Clarisonic sales have been rapidly increasing year on year, giving L'Oreal a strong foothold in the world of beauty devices. In fact, 2012 was Clarisonic's best year yet. It was during that time when the brand's hit its real peak, its huge peak, becoming the newest must-have product in the beauty world. The brand even won multiple awards shortly after the takeover, including Glamour's Best Skin Device, Allure's Best of Beauty, winning both of those in 2012. And over the next few years under L'Oreal, Clarisonic launched a variety of new models aiming to cement their hold on the market and appeal to a wider audience. And these included the Clarisonic Mia 2, which is an upgraded version with 2 speed settings, offering like a more customization based on skincare sensitivity. So if you feel like your skin could take it, you go up a level in speed, and if you wanted a sensitive day, you'd keep it at like a lower level. I think that's the one I had actually. Can't remember. But they also launched Clarisonic Aria in 2014, which was a high-end model with customizable speeds, a drying stand, and an optional charging cradle. Clarisonic Smart Profile also launched in 2014, and this version included smart technology that adjusted the cleansing time and the intensity based on the skin's needs and the type of brush head that was being used. Clarisonic Mia Fit launched in 2016, which was a smaller, kind of like more portable device than the already portable Clarisonic Mia. And this was designed to be like a little bit more sleek, with like a sleeker design for like on-the-go users, you know, slip it in your purse or your briefcase, I don't know. Clarisonic Alpha Fit in 2016 was a model specifically designed for men, offering a tougher cleanse for thicker skin and for facial hair. And they probably just made it in black, like all for men devices, you know. But despite all these new models and the brand's strong start under L'Oreal, just a few years into their leadership, things had already started to go downhill for Clarisonic. Yearly sales had started declining in 2014, and L'Oreal's 2016 accounts showed that they valued the brand at 234 million euros less than the year before. So what happened? Let's talk about, honestly, the somewhat sad decline of Clarisonic. It's not sad, it was just an exciting time, but let's talk about the decline. So in less than a decade, Clarisonic had built itself into one of the most talked about beauty brands of the early 2010s. Their rise as a pioneering beauty tech brand had shocked many people, but unfortunately, their downfall would take even less time. Now, a large factor in Clarisonic's problems was the rise of countless dupes and competitors. As Clarisonic gained popularity, their success drew the attention of many brands who wanted in on the growing market. Soon, other brands started releasing their own versions of sonic cleansing brushes or rotating facial brushes, with many of them massively undercutting Clarisonic's high prices. We are talking like 50% less than your cheapest Clarisonic. And the market very, very quickly became oversaturated with alternatives, and despite Clarisonic's early domination of the space, many consumers began to view their high price tag as excessive, and seeing all these cheaper models that worked just as well, they were like, why are they charging us so much? Customers were more than happy just to go with a more affordable option that claimed to do the same thing. I think if it had a brush head on it and it spun a little bit, people were happy. Even those though who were happy to pay the luxury price point found that they now had more options to choose from, and the most notable of these newer skincare devices was Foreo, who became a serious rival to Clarisonic. I still use my Foreo to this day. I love their cleansing device, and they managed to take a sizable chunk of the market away from Clarisonic in 2014 when they launched the Foreo Luna, which has silicone bristles, which provides a gentler, more hygienic facial cleanse. This addressed two of the main issues people have with Clarisonic devices. Although many consumers loved them, critics often complained that the traditional Clarisonic bristles were too abrasive, especially for sensitive skin. They also had concerns that the traditional brush heads would harbor bacteria like toothbrushes do, especially if they're kept in like the bathroom. And Foreo's decision to use silicone bristles not only made cleansing gentler, but silicone is also non-porous, so it doesn't harbor bacteria like traditional brush heads do. This meant that consumers didn't need to clean them as regularly or replace them like they had to with Clarisonic devices. People were saving huge amounts of money because Foreo's Luna was a one-time purchase. You never had to buy replacement heads, and this was a huge part of Clarisonic's business model, right? Which had now began to feel super outdated compared to what Foreo offered. Foreo, you charge once a year. Like, I can't count the amount of times I've lost the charger because I never have to use it. And Clarisonic, I remember having to charge like every 2 days. But it wasn't just Foreo, there were a ton of other very, very popular competitors. Olay Pro X Advanced Cleansing System, which was a battery operated brush that offered rotating technology, but at a fraction of the price. This is also when brands like Vanity Planet became super popular. And not only were they popular with their Ultimate Skin Spa, which was another affordable alternative, known for its 3 different like brush heads and adjustable settings, but Vanity Planet were taking advantage of the boom in influencer marketing. Every single influencer was promoting Vanity Planet's Ultimate Skin Spa. It was everywhere. You could not escape it. It was being gifted to everyone. It was getting more attention than Clarisonic at the time. Neutrogena launched their Neutrogena Wave, which was a vibrating cleanser that used disposable cleansing pads instead of brushes, aimed at younger consumers. But another major problem for Clarisonic was that trends and preferences in skincare had changed. By the time we reached the 2020s, the skincare industry had moved away from a focus on physical exfoliation and high-tech cleansing devices, instead shifting towards prioritizing like simpler, gentler routines and skin barrier health. Consumers became more educated about skincare, learning that over-exfoliation or constantly using abrasive brushes on your skin on the protective barrier could lead to irritation, sensitivity, and even breakouts. Dermatologists were increasingly warning people about using harsh exfoliants on people's skin, using exfoliants too often, encouraging people to opt for chemical exfoliants like AHAs and BHAs, which offered a gentler and more controlled way to remove dead skin cells, and the rise of double cleansing, which involved obviously using an oil-based cleanser followed by your regular water-based cleanser, reduced a demand for physical cleansing. People didn't need Clarisonic. People didn't need a cleansing brush anymore. This really left Clarisonic out in the cold. Their market had already become overcrowded with competitors, and now demand for high-tech cleansing tools as a whole was failing too. Nobody wanted them anymore. It wouldn't be until years later, the last 2 years or so, that people are more interested in devices again, but not like they were back then. The final nail in the coffin really for Clarisonic may have been that they failed to really build a brand that people wanted to follow. Customers were only ever excited about the product Clarisonic put out. They never really cared about the brand itself, which is like a huge thing people care about nowadays. Consumers really care about who the brand are and a personality. And Clarisonic failed to capitalize on social media the way many other brands did at the time. And while other brands were focusing their market towards millennials and Gen Z on Instagram, Clarisonic just seemed to be phoning it in with their social media presence. Like, they really weren't bothering. They weren't doing anything exciting or attention grabbing, and consumers had really started to demand more from the brands they supported at this time. They wanted brands to show more personality, to be open with them and share the same values they did. They wanted brands to have a clear mission that resonated with them and to be an extension of their personality. The more people got into skincare and beauty, these are the things that became important to people and that things that brands now do as default. Plenty of brands in the 2010s did this incredibly successfully, propelling themselves from tiny startups to beauty must-haves. And Clarisonic wasn't one of these brands, unfortunately. In the rapidly changing beauty landscape at the time, Clarisonic fell so far behind, becoming just another stuffy corporate brand that nobody had any real passion for. They had no personality and no reason to choose them over any other brand. They were just like a distant memory. And whilst professionals were telling us why we shouldn't be using Sonic brushes anymore, Clarisonic weren't telling us why we should, or changing their product to fit with these new, make a silicone brush head. They probably did have one, but they didn't make any effort to shift gears. Now, Clarisonic's long list of steadily worsening problems came to a head in July of 2020, which feels like it was ages ago, but it was only discontinued recently. 2020 is recently, right? 4 or 5 years ago? Not so recent, okay. But L'Oreal issued an official statement saying that they'd be discontinuing Clarisonic for good at the end of September of that year. The statement said that the decision to discontinue the brand was made in an effort to help L'Oreal focus its attention on its other core business offerings. Basically, Clarisonic wasn't making any money anymore for L'Oreal to continue supporting the brand. And the level of funds available for product development and marketing had already dropped significantly over the last few years. Clarisonic released fewer new products towards the end of their existence because they just didn't have the money to develop anymore. And the lower marketing budgets meant that they fell even further out of the public eye. It didn't make sense for L'Oreal to be pumping money into a dying brand when they could just invest money into other brands on their books that were doing very well. Or instead, as L'Oreal loves to do, they could just buy another up-and-coming beauty brand and roll the dice on that. They love it. They love a new brand or a struggling brand, right? In fact, just months after Clarisonic's closure, L'Oreal acquired Takami Co., which is a Japanese premium skincare brand, which is very, very popular in Asia, particularly Japan and China. And the deal allowed them to expand further into Asian markets, arguably much more important to them than trying to revive the Clarisonic, right? In 2021, they bought California-based skincare brand Youth to the People. And in 2022, they acquired Skin Better Science. Both were relatively new, up-and-coming brands that were a better and safer bet than Clarisonic. We have to talk about Clarisonic's legacy and impact because although it came to a very sad and abrupt end, I keep saying it's sad, it's not really, we're all over it, but Clarisonic's legacy is still pretty impressive. In the 20 years that they were open, they sold over 15 million brushes. It was a pioneering product that really drove the trend of high-tech beauty gadgets and created a category all by itself. I really do feel like the entire beauty tech market has Clarisonic to thank for bringing up the concept to the masses, and without them we might not have microcurrent facial toning devices, LED face masks, microneedling tools, or any of the long list of devices and tools available to us today, because Clarisonic showed that people are interested. People do want this kind of stuff. And despite the name of this series, I'm not really sure we can call Clarisonic a real flop. Their fall from grace may have been quicker than their spectacular rise, but the brand's name is still synonymous with sonic cleansing and probably always will be. And even today, brands continue to incorporate this sonic technology in their products, but Clarisonic always will be remembered as the one that started it all. I have a real soft spot for this brand because as somebody who was, and still is obviously really into skincare and the beauty world, Clarisonic was a really exciting time for the industry, exciting time for skincare consumers, an expensive time, but as I said, this really did make us interested in all the devices that were on offer. Vanity Planet became so popular after this with their numerous devices that people wanted to try because they loved the Clarisonic. I'm on my weird vlogging 360 camera, so it's making my face look really weird. So look, it's wide here, then goes skinny, then goes wide again. So ignore that. My Clarisonic arrived and it also has these free brush heads. It was part of the pack. I feel like they're just trying to get rid of them. So I just got the Mia Smart and I also got the Sensitive brush heads, which is what we're going to go with. But there's also a deep one here, then an acne one as well. And I'm hoping that it's charged enough to just go in and use it. Even just to look at, it feels a little bit clunky and outdated. How the fuck does this work? Oh, they're very, very, very soft, so we should be okay. So I'm gonna take the skincare quiz because this is the smart one, just to see, I don't know, I guess just to see. What's your skin type? Combination skin. What is your number one skin goal? More radiant skin. Select your forehead, nose. I'm done, let's go. Oh, okay. Wetting the brush, adding one of my favorite foaming cleansers to the brush. I mean, it's very, very gentle. It feels like I'm not applying pressure, I'm just going over. It feels like a very gentle washcloth. Oh, I think I meant to be doing it like in areas, you know, like the Elizabeth Arden, like what they call like steam wash or something. It's very hard to get into like crevices, whereas with my Foreo, I can literally just like go right up here, whereas this, it feels like a little bit like it's struggling a bit. I'm changing with every beat. I'm kind of starting to feel how unnecessary this really is now that I'm using it again. Like I could do this with a cloth. I'm not sure how, is that it? Okay. I'm not sure how good this like Sonicare thing really is. It's good. It felt nostalgic. My skin does feel softer than usual, but it did feel like a little bit prickly when I was like rubbing the device across my face. I think for, you know, not doing anything like that for years. And then when I do something like that, it's silicone from the Foreo. I could feel it. It wasn't painful, it just felt like I was rubbing something along my face, but I feel very smooth. But I'm not sure how good if that's a good sign just yet. But very nostalgic, but felt quite useless, I'll be honest with you. I'm a bit like, was there really much point in that? So let me know what you think. Did you own one? How many brush heads did you have? I had one Clarisonic, and then I got a sponsorship with one of these dupe brands, I guess you can say, and honestly, it was the same thing. This had that sonic technology that Clarisonic boasted, rather than just like a spinning head brush that did this, and honestly, it did the same thing. I can not imagine scrubbing my skin with anything other than my Foreo now, or even a gentle washcloth, but if I had a Clarisonic and that soft bristle brush head, I could see myself using it a little bit. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. You can watch the rest of the biggest beauty flops here and some general light entertainment here, and I'll see you next time.